the Penny for Our Thoughts podcast, where you can get a third-party opinion on your worries, concerns, or problems that you may have, like everybody does. But please, do not keep it to yourself and get a third-party opinion. My name is John.
And my name is Gerald, and we're your host for today's episode of Penny for Our Thoughts.
How's it going? How's it going?
You first.
How's it going, Gerald?
It's not bad, man. I'm a little sleepy, but hopefully some of these topics will perk me up.
Hopefully. I think I picked some good ones. We have 3 today.
3? Okay.
So let's get it. You ready? All right. First one. First one's from Muscle Maniac. Ooh. Title is, should you ever trust a cheater who's cheated in the past relationships, and or do body counts matter to you in a relationship? Be 100% honest. Does body count matter to you when choosing someone to be in a relationship with? Do you have a certain number limit? And would you ever trust a cheater who's cheated in a past relationship? It's a 2-part question, so I guess. So this person wants our opinion on, let's start with the body count. Does body count matter to you when choosing someone to be in a relationship with?
I think body count for me personally matters less than how much they bring it up when they're in the relationship. Like, you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, you make a good point, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Right? Like, yeah. I'm okay with it. Like, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person or whatever just because they have a high quote unquote body count. Right? But as long as, because I can be pretty insecure at times, and I'm sure a lot of people can be as well. I just don't like it when like past relationships get brought up, unless it's extremely relevant to whatever we're talking about, right?
A lot of people can say that even not bringing back or bringing up a past relationship is not respectful to your current relationship. This could be definitely one too. For me, body count in a way does matter because, you know, as people, you know, listen to this podcast and you know that normally when I get into a relationship, it's normally for like the long run, right? That with the marriage in mind and family in mind. If this person has a massive body count, it has like, you know, STDs or STIs, whatever. I would want him to get I would want him to get that checked first. I think that would be like the big thing. And I think it all depends on how old you are. If you are, you know, 19, 20, and you have like over 100 people, okay, that's something wrong, right? Like why are you doing that kind of thing, right? And because I'm a guy, that person would be a girl, and that means a girl slept with like 100 other guys, assuming, you know, she's straight or whatever. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, as long as it's not something super, super high, I wouldn't be concerned. As long as, like you said, all the boxes are checked, like healthy, no STIs, and, you know, no prior pregnancies. I guess that's a completely different question.
So I think she's asking this. I think, or maybe it's a guy, muscle maniac, maybe it's a guy, girl. Then it's ambiguous. It doesn't tell us. What's your number then?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't have an answer for it. I literally don't know.
10. 5, I think I'm okay. 10, I might be okay with that. Again, depending on how old you are. If you're 18 years old, 10, I would say is still a lot.
For you, yeah.
For 18. But if you're 30, then okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I get closer to our age. I wouldn't really bat an eye at anything like around 10, I guess, yeah.
So teens is okay?
Teens, I wouldn't really be like, whoa, what am I getting into? I'd be like, oh, it would be in my mind.
What about 20s?
20s, it would be more in my mind.
So
I don't know how I would react to it.
So 20s would be the limit. I would say 20s is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like
for our age.
Yeah, for our age, if they're over 20, sorry. If for our age, if the body count's over 20, I would kind of be like, you know, okay, what's going on? Right? Because I'm not going to lie, the body count in a way speaks of someone's character too.
It can.
Right? Because again, it can. I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you have a high body count, but for someone, especially like, you know, a lot of people like myself and people who are looking for the future and stuff, maybe this person isn't trying to go for the end goal. Right?
Yeah, it could be a lot of things.
It could be like that, but also maybe they just got unlucky. So maybe like 15 times they tried and it just didn't work. It's possible, but I'd say 20 is... okay. 20 is like maybe the upper limit for me, for my age. If anything past that, I would probably ask.
Just for clarification, would this be, is this body count for relationships, or is this like how many people you've had sex with?
I think it's how many have you had sex with.
Okay.
Yeah, relationship's different.
I figured, but I thought I cleared up.
Yeah. So for relationships for me, I don't care. If you date 100 people, but you only slept with like 3, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could have just had like very simultaneously casual relationships.
Yeah. That's
or maybe
very
you
true.
don't value like long-term relationships, something like that. Maybe you don't want to. You just can't hold someone down for a long time, or they can't hold you down for a long time. That's fine.
Yeah. Body count matters to me less than other things, but once it gets higher and higher and higher, it will make me start to not question things, but start to want to figure out some other, make me curious, I guess is a good term.
I don't know. Even thinking about it now, I don't know, 20 is pretty high.
20 is high. But
20 is high. Yeah. Okay. You know what? If it's like high teens, let's lower my limit a little bit. If it's high teens, I think it's a little high, and it'd be in my mind. But if it's less than 10, I don't think it. If it's especially in my age group, if it's less than 10, I think it's like whatever, not a big deal.
Yeah. Again, more for me is how they make me feel in the current relationship I'm in.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, and you made a good point. Where as long as I don't bring it up about their past, I think
out of the blue when it's not relevant, or to use it even worse as ammunition against you.
Yes.
If that starts happening, it's like, you bet, I'm out of there.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Second question Muscle Maniac is asking is, and would you ever trust a cheater who's cheated in a past relationship?
No. If I know that the person has cheated, that will be forever a mark on their permanent record.
So then would you rather, let's say someone did cheat,
Mm-hmm.
but they just didn't tell you. Would you rather not know? And then eventually when it comes out, she can go to you and just be like, you never asked.
That would become a bigger problem.
You didn't have to become a bigger problem. Okay.
If she pulled that on me, you never asked?
Yeah, but then you don't want to know. You also don't want to know because technically it's a past relationship, right? It's one of those like gray areas where like you said even the body count, you don't want to hear about past relationships.
Yeah.
So then you told your significant other or soon to be significant other, and then they're like, you didn't ask. You said you didn't want to know, so they didn't tell you. But then you found out eventually.
That is a gray area, and it sounds a little bit hypocritical now thinking about it. Is that I don't want to hear anything about the past relationships. Oh, unless you cheated, right? Like it's not. It sounds a little bit hypocritical, but I think specifically to this scenario, I think you having cheated in a past relationship definitely has a lot more say in how you are as a person compared to how many people you've slept with.
Yeah, I will agree with you. You know what though? Like I'm the same way. And it's hypocritical, but I do like to know if someone has cheated in their past relationship.
Yep.
Whether or not I like listening about their past relationships, I think even thinking back with my experiences, every time I like met someone new, I've like whether I started dating them or not, I've asked like, have you cheated on anybody? I think it's one of those like questions that kind of like a hurdle that I kind of go over to see if this person is compatible, and because it sucks to say it, and I know it's could be very mean or whatever, and everyone has their own circumstances, but I'm one of those people that believes that if you once you're a cheater, you're always a cheater, right? And that's unfair. I see that people can change, and I understand that people can do better once they've experienced it. It's one of those things that like it's such a out of everything you could have done, that's the thing you do.
Yeah, it's you make a good point that people can change, and I definitely don't disagree with that. But at that point, I think it's a more me problem that I would not date a cheater, knowingly anyway. If I didn't know and I started dating, that's a different question, right? Because I didn't know. But if I knew they were a cheater, I wouldn't. Like that would be a mark for me. I'm not saying that they're a bad person innately, but having cheated in a relationship, I don't think it's unfair for someone to be like, okay, you cheated. Why would I want to be in a relationship with you?
Yeah, right. I agree. You're right. I think it's me.
Yeah,
because I have never cheated, right? You haven't, obviously, too. So both of us haven't cheated. So it's I've never been cheated on either. You've never been cheated on either. So from what I know, so like it's yeah.
What are you struggling with?
It just it sucks to say, right? Because there's great people out there that have cheated, but then, again, that in itself is a very ironic sentence. There are great people that cheated, like right?
Yeah, like based on what we just said, like it makes it almost sound like that you can't be great if you cheated. you know. But like other aspects of your personality aren't governed by that, right? Just because you cheated in a relationship doesn't mean you're not a good, I don't know,
But
good worker or good whatever, you know?
But isn't the reason why, let's say, your reason why you won't date a cheater that cheated in the past relationships because it speaks to their character?
Not to their character. How do I word this? To their character, to who they are in the relationship. To me, you can have a completely platonic relationship with someone.
Yeah,
they cheated on someone, but you're good friends with them. I don't know. I'm not saying you because I don't know if you necessarily would. Yeah. But I could see myself. One of my friends cheated, and for example, they're already my friends. It wouldn't be a black and white decision to be like, oh, you cheated, you're a bad person, you're not my friend anymore. So I'm saying it speaks to their character as a partner in a relationship. I should have elaborated.
I don't know, man. Like, okay, none of us cheated here, but if you cheated, I'd be pretty disappointed at you. I'm like, dude.
I would be.
Yeah, and would it be the same way?
I'd be disappointed. I wouldn't be instantly like, you're not my friend anymore, because I know you. I know that you're a good person outside of that, right? Because there's more to a person than that. But just because they're a good person outside of that doesn't mean you jump into a relationship with them, right?
True, but I see what your point is, but I'm a believer that it speaks someone's character.
Fair enough. No, that's fair.
Because let's get right. You because think about it this way. Yeah, we're best friends, and then the person, let's say I was dating. I mean, I love this person. Like I was in love with this person, and I broke that trust. If I was in your shoes, I'd be like, what if he does the exact same thing to me, but in a different context? Right? Okay. Isn't that being obviously like in that kind of context, but it could be anything else, right? And then that's kind of like the idea. I would again go down that rabbit hole and just be like, what if he does that to me?
Okay, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
I think if I thought about it enough, I would go down that road, but I wouldn't really necessarily. I couldn't see myself immediately taking action of shunning the person out of my life. Because we're already friends.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't shut you out of your life. I'd be like, yo, dude, that was like, why'd you do that? I want to hear your side.
Yeah.
And then see what happens.
I would lose points, right?
Whoever you would start with a negative point.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's not nothing. It's not something to scoff at if you cheated on someone. But there are, because to me, cheating is a very personal thing between two people in a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen people, again, I don't really know if this is a defense necessarily, but I've seen people who are completely different with their significant other than with their friends. Right. So even that alone for me is a telling factor that whatever you do in your relationship doesn't necessarily carry over to everything in your friendship. Like obviously you're the same person in both scenarios, but there's things that there's a certain way that you act around your friends that's different to how you act around your significant other.
Okay, I see your point.
You know
that makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
So let's say like you started dating this person and then you eventually like maybe like 6 months, 8 months, a year later you found out that they cheated. Would that change your perspective on the person?
It would.
It would?
It would. Definitely would. Because then I find that out, then instantly, whether or not they're a changed person, that's a different question to me.
Yeah.
But again, it comes down to me, where you turn it, the gears start turning. Like, well, what if, like you said, what if this starts? She does something to me, and this time it is the same. It's not like friend. It's not like your friend cheated on his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right. This time it's your
you
girlfriend.
You're actually in that relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Your girlfriend cheated on someone in the past. How do you know that it won't turn out the same? You know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm in the same way. I don't know if I would, again, if I was like a year or like a couple months into the relationship, I don't know if I would like break up with that person right away, but it would definitely have put a big asterisk on this person to be like, oh man, like if this person goes out, is this person like telling the truth and whatever? And yeah, it's a terrible thing. Again, my always saying is if you're going to meet someone else, just break up with the person that you're with right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because clearly it's not working out for you. But people just are greedy and they just want 2 or 3 or 4 things at the same time.
It could be more complicated than that too, right? And it usually is. Because then it's entirely possible for you to fall for 2 people at the same time, right? And if you happen to be in a relationship while you're in love with the 2 people, right? Like it's not as easy as it's gonna feel like you're cutting off a leg, right?
It's a hard sell though.
Yeah.
It's a hard sell to say I'm in love with two people.
But it happens.
Yeah, you're right. And there's people out there that live that life, but I mean, like, I can't. I don't. If my significant other, that would be like, no, that's not possible. Like, either. Yeah. I know if that person said that. If my significant other said that to me, I'll be like, okay, I'll just get out of your way.
Yeah.
So do what you want, because I don't want to deal with that.
I agree. Right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that would be the courteous way to let you know, and then let you have a say in the decision.
Yeah. Because then I would say, like, but then wouldn't that be emotional cheating instead of like physically cheating? Like, it's emotional. Like, this person has feelings for someone else. Wouldn't you consider that cheating?
Well, it depends purely on the context. If they've acted on it in. Because there's such things as emotional affairs. I do agree with that.
Yeah. So
there is a scenario in which I would say, like, hey, this is the line. You didn't do anything physical, but yes, you are cheating.
And would you break up with them? Is emotional cheating at the same level as physical cheating? Or would you say it's a little less?
I would say it's a little bit less, but I wouldn't not break up with someone if it was, emotional versus physical. Like I would still like, I would still consider it an offense enough to break up with someone.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I still feel like it's less, but regardless, it's not acceptable.
I don't think it's. I mean, I can see why you think it's less because no action was in place. It's all in people's thoughts or whatever, or emotions. But still, I think that's still pretty bad. Don't do that.
It's bad. I agree that it's bad.
Yeah.
And I would break up probably both ways.
Yeah.
But I still feel like, first, it's just in my head, I think. It's just less than physical cheating.
Yeah.
They're both bad. Don't cheat.
Don't cheat. Yeah. So, cheating will matter for both of us. I think it will matter to a lot of people unless, I think it's, unless you've cheated in the past and you know what it's like to be in that situation, and you know what it feels like to be in this situation to cheat on someone, it's going to be hard for someone else to know. And I think majority of the public and majority of the people who haven't cheated will have a hard time understanding why someone else would have. And I think that's it. For Muscle Maniac, if you're curious about, our opinions, body counts don't matter as much, but cheating does.
Yep.
Any last you want to add?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the second one, shall we?
Let's go.
Second one is from Marie or Mary, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Title is Hear Him Out or Ignore Him. Hello. Me and my boyfriend broke up for the same reason we broke up before. When we broke up, we said many things that hurt our feelings, but mostly he to me. I do want him back, but I need him to change. He texted me once asking me about something and I ignored it. He texted me again saying he needs to talk to me and explain everything. All of my friends told me to ignore him, so he values me more and makes an effort in the relationship because if I give in so easily, he will do it again. I really want him back and I want to hear him out, but he needs to change his ways so we can both be happy. Also, they told me they saw him they told me they saw him holding hands with a girl in a club a week after we broke up. I mean, he was single, but it still hurt. What would you do? Ignore him and see how he reacts? Or hear him out and tell him that I won't tolerate those things, not come back to him until he shows me respect? Or just ignore him? I want to know what will make me value more. I want to know what will make me value more and what will be more mature. That's kind of weird to word it, but yes.
Make me valued more.
Yeah, maybe. Valued more, yeah.
She sounds young. They both sound young.
Yeah, clubbing. That's like a low 20s to high teens thing. Yeah.
And just the whole situation, it all sounds very young, very immature to me. But before I forget the point I want to make, I think you've both already lost when you said he needs to change, right? Because if you have an asterisk to start a relationship, or I guess to restart a relationship of, I will go out with you if you change da 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 da, and to an extent, that's okay if it's small things like tie your shoes or like don't put your shoes in the door. I don't know why I said tie your shoes. But if it's small things like that, take off your shoes at the door or something simple. Like
put your socks in the laundry basket.
Whatever it might be, right? This is like changing his actions, changing his personality, changing how he deals with things in general. At this point, I would not suggest pursuing the relationship anymore. Points against the relationship again is that you guys broke up for the second time about the same thing. So clearly, after 2 tries, it hasn't been dealt with. Maybe you can get on the 3rd try, 4th try, whatever. But do you really want to get to the 3rd try, 4th try, 5th try? What are the chances you're not going to break up if this thing comes up again, right? As for the next course of action, I say deal with it maturely and just say say how you feel, and other than the "I want you back" thing, because I don't think this relationship should continue. Say that you felt disrespected and you felt like all those things you said in the post, but don't ask for him back or don't take him back.
To give him to play devil's advocate a little bit, because we don't know exactly what he said to her, right? So Marie, I guess I think the first thing you need to figure out is, what is he saying to you? And again, you didn't tell us exactly what he's saying to you. And then, again, I've talked about this in the previous podcast and stuff like that. There are things you do not say to significant others. And if it's those things, then yes, I would agree with Gerald here and say, don't continue or don't try to, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Like, don't go out and stick with this person. But if it's things that like you think you're overreacting, because some people don't like being called names in general when they're in an argument, right? Some people don't like it when they say, crap or whatever in a context of an argument. And if that's the case, then maybe this person changed. But I'm gonna tell you, this is my personal experience from as a guy to Maria and probably other women. If you are looking for a guy to change, especially in that context, it will not happen. Mm-hmm. It just will not simply happen. I have so obviously I've been in relationships before, but the only time I've honestly changed for the better is after like heartbreaks or after the relationship has ended. That's when I have changed. Because even like the relationship way back, one of the longer relationships I had, after that ended, like I realized that I didn't take care of myself. I need to start taking care of myself so I could take care of others. And then I started, working out and blah, 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 blah. It made this massive change in my lifestyle. But that would have never happened if that relationship never ended. And part of that is kind of like I say it in passing. It's kind of funny. It's like, I kind of thank my ex-girlfriends for making me the person that I am now, because I know I'm proud of who I became and I'm happy about it. But without them giving me that heartbreak or, setting me on that path, I guess is kind of the weird way to say it, I would have never got there. So and it kind of sucks for Marie though, because if you don't get back up with him and you let him do his thing, he might change. But then you can't be part of that when he changes. I mean, yes, there are times where a relationship breaks up and then a year or two later you guys get back together again, and after he's a changed person, then maybe. I'm not that kind of person, but you might be, Marie. So if that's the case, then I would say, just let it go. He's not going to change. And as speaking from a guy who've experienced this, he's not going to change. I didn't change. And if he's like me, anything like in a lot of other guys, they just won't change if it's a big thing that they need to make a change on.
I think a big thing to take away from that is a person won't change unless they want to.
Yeah.
Unless they find a reason within themselves to make the change. And if for some, they beat the odds and change for you, 100%, if that's something that they didn't want to do themselves, whether or not they can maintain the change, they're going to resent you for it, for being the reason of making the change,
And it might go back to before.
Exactly. Change. Right. And now there's just added resentment because, hey, he wasn't good enough. He needed to change. Right. That very well could be a dialogue that goes on in his head. Right. Yeah. But in this situation, I think you both have some growing to do, the way I see it. Because it's not just him saying hurtful things, right? If I heard that correctly, they're both saying bad things to each other.
But Marie did mention mostly he to me. So.
Okay, that's fair.
But since you said mostly, we're going to assume that you did it anyway.
Exactly.
So just because you did it less than him doesn't make it any better. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah. There was retaliation.
Yeah.
And at this point, there's intent on making him, it's a little bit of manipulation, if you ask me, because she wants to feel wanted by him. And to do that, she's going to ignore it. She's entertaining the option to ignore him just so she gets the attention from him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that all of those pieces put together, I feel like can accumulate to a very toxic relationship. So I think a saving grace for this could be like, if my hunch is correct in that you're both pretty young, that just means you both have more time to grow as people. And if the maturity does come eventually, and I'm sure it will, after time, and then you guys manage to cross paths together as, more adult, more mature, and you turned out for the better, then maybe you can get back together, right? But maybe at that point you might not even want to.
Yeah.
But until that time comes when you're both mature, I don't think this relationship is going to be healthy.
And I just want to say that, again, there are better people out there. I just want to say, right?
We could say that to him too.
We could say that to him too, right? It could go both ways, right? There are worse people out there, and there are better people. There are probably better people out there too. So, and Gerald kind of mentioned a great point is that, by what we read, you guys both seem like a young couple, right? So get more mature if you want, be a little bit more mature, get more life experience, right? Yeah. And then, eventually if you want to get together, then get together. But right now, you asking him to change isn't going to work. Right?
And him not changing.
Yeah. And I know that you want him now, like Marie really wants this guy now, but as stupid and cliched as time will heal or time will make everything go away, is that exact thing. And it sucks to hear it every single time you're in this situation, when you're hurting and when you're in a painful situation, but time will make everything better, will heal it, and you will forget eventually. Right. That's the reason why there's a saying, out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
So then you won't think about him anymore. And then, if you are young, you're probably going to college, university, or some kind of, activity when you're young. So maybe you'll meet other people there and you'll be like, oh, maybe this guy so much, this guy fits me better.
Yep.
Right now, you might think he's your world. All right. But there are probably other people that are either fit better for you, treat you better, and overall just better for you, and not yelling and using hurtful words and stuff like that. So
and just to add on to the cliche, people always say this every time after someone breaks up: use this time to work on yourself.
Yeah,
right. And it's a perfect opportunity, just like John said, from experience. Right, he made a lot of his growth stemming from these breakups, these heartbreaks. Right, and nothing is gonna make you want to change more than that feeling.
And, actually, Marie wrote this, I want to know what will make me valued more is you working on yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. You working on yourself, and you'll be valued more by other people that are more valued more.
Yeah.
Right. So then you'll get people that are in that same circle as you that are, it feels weird putting value on people, but you know what I'm saying is, you're valued more. So you'll get someone better that will be valued more too.
Yep.
Then you have that opportunity, and hopefully it works out, in the future. But big thing is work on yourself. Again, I've never changed until those experiences happened to me. Mm-hmm. And I think this experience will change you and hopefully him. And if it doesn't change him, good for you, because you actually avoided that whole situation. You didn't have to go back, right? You didn't have to go to that heartbreak. You don't have to go to that painful situation again. And you just made yourself better. And then you'll realize you need to value yourself more too.
Yep.
That's the thing.
It's a hard concept to grasp, but don't rely on other people to tell you how valuable you are.
Yeah.
Prove it to yourself that you're this value. Do the things that you yourself value, so then you grow your confidence, grow yourself, mature as a person. Right. And
then realize you'll find someone better.
Yeah.
And you bring up this thing about, I just want to mention this last thing is that you saw, or your friend saw him holding another girl's hands after you broke up. Yeah, it might suck for you, but it's completely fine on his end. If you ask anybody, even me or even Gerald, he's single. He can do whatever he wants. He's not cheating on you. He's not doing anything. It might suck for you, but he has every right to do that.
Yeah. And I guess it's just the idea of it that's hurtful, right?
Yeah.
It's like the fact that she's not over it yet, and clearly he was. Or maybe like he was just acting like it because obviously he came clamoring back. But regardless, it might be quote unquote okay, a little legal, whatever. But it's hurtful.
Yeah, it's hurtful to yourself, to Marie, but everyone else, it's okay. I don't think anyone would argue on your behalf because he was single. Literally, that title in itself would just demolish any argument you have.
He was single.
Yeah. So, and then again, if someone is doing that to you, right, and if you value yourself more, you wouldn't accept that.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want this person.
You realize you're worth more than that.
Yeah. Any final words for Marie?
I think that puts the nail in the coffin.
Awesome. All right. Let's go to the third and final. This one is by Shu. I'm just shortening it. Shu. Just go with
Tide
Shu.
Or
this one's by Shu. Title is I'm worried about my son's views towards the opposite gender. My son is 16, has never really had any female friends. We chalked that up to him going to an all-boys school, so we took him out, and now he attends a regular co-ed school. Our community has its own little scouting thing, without the badges and whatnot, just the activities. And it's always been split by gender, with teens being co-leader with an adult. This year, the girls' troop was too crowded, so a few girls had to go with the boys. However, the same thing happened in reverse a few times, and the boys weren't allowed to go with the girls. So my son, who is the boys' teen leader, and some friends decided to get back at the planners by excluding the girls from everything. Did that make sense? He seemed confused. So
I was listening.
Yeah, so to clarify that
no, it made sense.
Yeah, the girls' trip was too crowded, so a few girls had to go with the boys. But then when vice versa, the boys couldn't go with the girls.
Yeah.
And
I understood.
Yeah, he was spiteful. He only dates boys despite having been attracted to girls before. He says gender equality is needed, but believes feminism is flawed. Has said he thinks men play sports better, which is why he only watches men's sports. I'm just worried. I talked to my husband about it, and the only thing he disagreed with one thing my son has done / said. I'm thinking about stopping him from going to stay with his dads, who may very well be the cause of this. Just wanted to ask your opinion. Any advice?
That's a tough one. How do you do that without feeling like you're imposing your own views onto the child? But I guess 16? Kid 16?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 16.
Yeah, I feel like as parents, there needs to be some communication about what you're telling the kid. What do you even say about that?
In this case, if you're talking, you said you don't want to, what you say about views? You said you don't want to impose views to the child?
Yeah, and then that's why I asked the age. Because if he's 16...
But I think that's okay.
Yeah.
It's your parents. Yeah, it's... they're your kids, and if you have your own views on some things and you want to, push those views, by all means, it's all your right. Eventually, either the kid will realize that either your views were wrong or right, and they will make a decision for themselves. But if you want to push your views, I think that's okay to a kid, right? If you want to, it's like anything, right? If you want to impose your views of, hey, murder is wrong, then that's the right thing. Right, but your kid might not listen to that and go murder someone.
Yeah,
Again, it's a weird metaphor, but it's a true one, right? For me, this one, I don't see anything. I personally don't see anything wrong. He has an opinion on the matter of he thinks men play sports better, which is only why he watched men's sports. That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
that's an opinion. And then he's being spiteful to the girls because it makes sense on his side. He was exempted and excluded while they were included when you guys were doing it. So he just feels spiteful, which I think that's a common emotion to have when you're 16 years old. If you feel left out on something, and I think, if you feel left out on something, you can be spiteful. The only reason here is because the group was girls. It just happened to be girls. I'm sure if he had, like a group of guy friends and one of his guy friends excluded him, I'm sure he will feel the same way. This is what I'm getting. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to comment on next, is that I don't think his views on the opposite gender were necessarily reflected in the actions he took in that camp or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because I think that was more like against the organizers or the people who made the camp, like more jab at them as opposed to the group of girls.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I could definitely see that being the case, giving them the benefit of the doubt. All of the other stuff, I think, while yes, maybe it could be a cause for concern, I feel like, I'm assuming this is the mom.
Yes, because he said husband and she said husband. Yeah.
I think she may be trying to like preemptively strike here. Like she's seeing indications of stuff that may or may not, be the truth, and then I guess it's making her uncomfortable. But I don't think he's done anything wrong yet.
Yeah.
Innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, if you're concerned, you're completely free to talk to your husband, ex.
I think ex probably, because husband and dad are two different people.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping you from talking to the kid's dad, right? Like, what are you telling our son? Because you're just as much a parent as he is.
But I'm not seeing. I feel like she was blaming dad wrongly too. Again, it's all innocent proven guilty is because what he has done, right? Like he hasn't, like Shu's son, the son hasn't done anything wrong, and you're already accusing the dad, saying, "Hey, what are you teaching my son?"
But if you're a parent and you're concerned, what's wrong with having a conversation? Like, hey, I'm noticing this, this, and this.
Oh, that's right. A conversation's fine, but then Shu wanted to actually stop the son from going to his dad's. Because she believes
he hasn't done anything wrong.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what she wrote at the end. She's like, word for word, like, I'm thinking of stopping him from going to stay with his dad's, who may very well be the cause of this.
So you don't know.
Yeah. Well, even if you thought so, what has the son shown?
Yeah.
To show you that? I think you're overreacting in this situation.
Okay? I can't remember all the examples of the things that quote unquote he did that made her super concerned. So there was the excluding the girls. There was watching guy sports.
Yeah, and he only dates boys despite having been attracted to girls. He says gender equality is needed but believes feminism is flawed, and the sports, which
there is nothing there that I would be like, son, you need to be fixed. Like, there's he hasn't done anything wrong.
If he wants to date boys and that's who he wants to date, you can't. Whatever, that's what it is. Right? Unless you're against that, but it doesn't seem like you are because you blatantly told us. And he believes gender equality is needed, so it doesn't seem like he is against the idea of gender equality.
Yeah.
Like everybody else in the world is.
And I do agree. Feminism is flawed, at least how it's represented in the media.
Yeah, and I would agree with what he says too. I think feminism right now, like the way it is, it's flawed. There's obviously good feminism and there's,
of course,
like bad feminism. And the thing about feminism for me is that people seem to include feminism only the good things, but they don't try to do the bad things. Yeah. That's flawed, right?
Yeah. So I don't think he's done anything wrong. 100%, you're the parent, right? So if you are concerned, you have 100% freedom to talk to whoever party you want, but don't
assume that his dad is the problem.
Yeah, like you can talk to the dad if you're concerned, right? But as of right now, I don't think there is any cause for concern.
I'm just generally curious because she talked to her husband and apparently he disagreed with one thing my son has done / said, and I believe that's the excluding one. I could see that's just the excluding one.
So it doesn't specify.
It doesn't specify, but I can just assume I'm assuming it's one of those in the concern that she has. And my is the excluding one. I'm sure that the camps and whatever and the community had a reason, and he just wasn't understanding the reason. So maybe he's like, okay, well, I think that's a little too much. I don't think you should exclude them, and that's fair. I think that's okay. And even if your son is being spiteful, you can also be like, hey, I don't agree with you excluding other people because you're being spiteful. And that's the only thing I can see that the husband would disagree to.
And then, there's no indication that you need to jump straight into boiling it down that he has twisted views on gender.
Yeah.
I guess I could see why you would think that because he was in an all-boys school for so long. But he's your kid. He's 16. He's not an idiot, I hope. Right? Like he's had some life experience, hopefully enough to that you can trust him a little bit. But again, here, I'm going to keep harping on this. You're the parent. You can talk to your son if you're concerned. You talk to your husband, or you can talk to his dad, right? But, if you just want our 2 cents, I don't think there's a lot of cause for concern. Yeah.
She also said that the son doesn't have any female friends, which is normal because he was in an all-boys school for however long. Again, if you pulled him out at 8 and he still has no female friends, that's still normal. A lot of junior high school people, the kids tend not to have female friends, which is fine. It happens later on. It may or may not happen. It is what it is, right? Yeah. And you never know. Maybe the female friends or the female students at his school are just dumb and he doesn't want to hang out with them. For all we know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can cause people not wanting to make friends.
Yeah, and it seems like you're just blaming your son for a lot of things. I just love how it was included. He watches men's sports because men play sports better. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of people.
That's not an uncommon thing to think.
There's a reason why, and I know a lot of people will argue against this, but there's a reason why the NBA players get paid more versus WNBA players. There's a reason why male soccer players get paid more than female soccer players. It's nothing to do with male and female. It's about equality. It's just that they get more money because a lot of people watch them more, and they can give that out more.
Where do you think they get their money from? People watching them.
Yeah.
If they had a say, I'm sure they'd be like, hey, let's pay you the same. But they get less money.
Yeah, and again, if you put the top male soccer or any sports team against any top female sports team, the male team's probably going to win, right? So you can tell the pinnacle of women's soccer or women's sports is not the same pinnacle of men's sports. So in that pinnacle might be the excitement where a lot of people get it.
Yeah.
And that could be your son. That's the excitement, right? We're looking for the best of the best of the best, right? This, regardless of gender. Regardless of gender, these are the best people. If a woman can beat the best boxer or whatever, I would 100% watch that. I would watch that. Yeah. Why wouldn't I watch that? We're exciting. Yeah. It's the idea of the best going against each other instead of male and female is my idea. I watch some women's sports. I think it's fine to watch, and there's nothing really,
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it, right? I watch male sports too, so I don't see what the issue is here.
I don't think there's any offense here that should cause too much concern.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a kid, right? He'll make his own choices, and eventually he'll figure out whether or not those choices were right or wrong. It's in everyone's life, right? As of right now, I think he's okay.
I don't think he's made anything wrong. He just stated his opinions. Literally, he dates boys because he wants to date boys. That's his choice.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. He believes gender equality is needed. That's like everybody in the world.
Definitely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. He believes feminism is flawed. He probably has his own reasons than different than ours, which is fine. That's his opinion. Even if he doesn't believe gender equality should exist, that's his opinion. It's not the greatest opinion, but it's his opinion.
At that point, if he did say that, then I feel like then you would have more cause for concern. Yeah. But he didn't say that.
He didn't say that. It would be weird if he said gender equality wasn't needed. But I don't know why I brought that metaphor up, but I'm just saying he didn't say that. And if he did, what am I supposed to do about it?
Yeah.
Right?
At this point.
And then the sports thing, again. And then the excluding thing for the camping and the scouting, little scout club, whatever. He's just doing that out of spite. He's 16. I know I did that when I was 16. Junior high, you name it, dude. I would have. if someone wronged me, I wronged them back. I still do that now. Gerald, no, inside joke.
I know.
But I'm just saying, if someone wronged me, I wronged them back, and that's exactly what he's doing. In his own way, he's gonna realize it's not the nicest way, but 16, he can do that.
All of these things, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. A lot of it maybe also is because you just want more elaboration. You want to understand, and you're free to talk to your son, right? You could be like, "What do you mean by this?" If you're really concerned for it, you wouldn't be sending this in if you weren't concerned about it. So like, maybe talk to your son. Whatever you're concerned about, hey, what did you mean by this? Don't like blame him for anything, because again, I don't think he did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a red flag in your mind or whatever color flag, talk to him. You're his mom, right? I don't know. There's no need for hasty action of pulling him from his dad's house,
or blame the dad,
or blaming the dad, because you have no idea.
I mean, you probably know his character, because I'm assuming you had a child with the dad, so you know his character. So I can see why you're assuming that, and you know, I can see it. But you can't go and make accusations because you don't know. Him having his own character and you think he would say it is different than him actually saying it. Because some people's characters are completely different with other people than they are with their kids.
Yes.
Right? I know I'm going to be like that with my friends. It's going to be completely different than what I do with my kids. 100%. Right? So he might be the exact same way. So again, don't do false accusations. Yes, like Gerald said, if you want to bring up the concern to the dad and see what the dad thinks, then sure. Okay. If you want to bring it to the son and talk about it, sure. You brought it up to us and we talked about it, and we're saying there's nothing to be worried about because he hasn't shown any hard physical evidence for us to be like, okay, there's something wrong, that he doesn't believe that he hates the opposite gender. In this case, he hates girls and stuff like that.
No, I don't think there's enough.
Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of just maybe put a seed into your head there, Shu, is because he was an all-boys school, there's a chance he could be like afraid of girls. Because there are people out there like that, especially guys and girls even, right? If they're together just with their own gender and their own sex or whatever, and then you get exposed to the real world when they're obviously mixed.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are, especially when you're young, you are afraid or scared of the opposite gender because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
That could be the case too. And if you're thinking scared and being afraid is being like against and like oppressing the other gender, then there's a pretty big line, and you're making that cross without any evidence.
I think the concern isn't necessarily like oppress. It's has the wrong idea or has the wrong attitude. I can't remember the wording.
Yeah.
So
views. Yeah.
So a very general, like it has a skewed view of the opposite gender, which yes, very well could have stemmed from him being in an all boys school. He's not used to being around girls, so he doesn't know how to act around them. I feel like
that's more likely.
That could be the case. That's more likely than I hate girls. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give him time. I don't know. When did he get pulled out versus?
That doesn't tell us. It doesn't tell us there. It just said that 16 and then he was in an all boys school and they pulled him out. Doesn't tell me like how long he was at a co-ed school. So,
he's probably just didn't grow up around girls, so he didn't know how to be around them. You know?
Yeah. And if his only reaction was to this whole, club thing, the scout thing in your community or whatever, and then the girl has literally excluded the guys. He, as a leader of the teen leader, he can feel the boys' feelings. He's just channeling that to him through himself.
They've been wronged.
They have been, right? Because they let the girls in, but you're not letting the boys in. Well, then, yeah, he's gonna be spiteful. Yeah. I would be spiteful.
I think we're beating a dead horse at this point. It's like he did nothing wrong.
He did nothing wrong. Don't go make accusations. And you even said he might as well be the dad that did that. You don't know that.
Yep.
Don't make that relationship sour between the dad and the son or like anything like that, because unless you have hard, cold evidence, he didn't do anything wrong.
It doesn't even have to be like a detective case at this point. Just talk to the people, communicate, right? Talk to them that you have your concerns, and hopefully they can ease your mind.
Yeah. Your husband said so. We're saying the same thing. He's not against the opposite gender.
He's not a psychopath. He's 16.
That concludes.
That wraps it up, eh?
Episode 18. Wow. PFOT. penny for our thoughts. Let's do a quick recap.
Let's do it.
All right. First one is, should you ever trust a cheater who's cheated in the past relationships? Or do body counts matter to you in relationships? Do you want to take this one?
Sure. Body count, not so much. Cheating, yes.
Oh, okay. Second one was hear him out or ignore him. At this point, just ignore him. If those are two choices, you work on yourself, better yourself, learn from experience, value yourself more personally. You'll find better. You'll find someone better.
I will add something to that. If those are your only choices, then yes, ignore them. But just tell them like an adult where you are.
Yeah. Don't be like a teen and just completely ignore him and just call him kind of thing. And last one we talked about, I'm worried about my son's views towards the opposite gender. Gerald?
He's 16. He did nothing wrong. If you're super deeply concerned about it, talk to the parties included. Talk to your son. Talk to the dad. End of story.
Yeah. Well, that finishes up episode 18.
18. We're legal.
I know. It's just where we are. But, if you haven't noticed, we are on YouTube. If you just type in hashtag PFOT, which stands for penny for our thoughts, not your, our thoughts, you'll get our YouTube on there. And if you have YouTube Premium or anything like that, and you just want to shut off your phone and listen to it, that's the way to do it. We're also on, obviously, all your podcast apps. If you're Spotify, Apple, Google. Yeah. Anchor. So you have many different ways to listen to ours. Just want to let everyone know.
Sounds good. And if they want to send in their own concerns, where do you go?
Sure. Where would I do that?
Oh, you're throwing this back to me. I see. Okay. Let's go to your computer and type in, what is it? Give some to us. Give some to us at gmail.com. Again, that is give some to us at gmail.com. Send us a concern and a username, anonymous or otherwise, so we can, and lots of details in case we have William on again.
Yeah, more details because it just helps us and helps the listeners understand the full story, and they can make their own idea and so on and so forth. Okay. I just want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Penny for Our Thoughts podcast. It was good to see your beautiful face and hope to see it next week.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and as always, stay kind to each other.